so you need to last longer. No, don't worry. Don't worry. I haven't been talking to your significant other. This is all about lasting longer in Clan Boss. What we're going to do is we're going to go over the buffs and debuffs that you need when you're starting out against Clan Boss, and we're going to see what they do, why they do it, why you need them, and a couple of options maybe to get them. Okay, so that's what we have on schedule for this video. Now, if you're having problems with Clan Boss and you're starting out in Raid, if you click the link below, that is a link that is going to get you Karato Fox Hunter and 4 extremely good epics that would go a long way to helping you survive during Clan Boss. You can actually see one of them on screen there for me, and that is Tagoar. Tagoar is an amazing champion, but Tagoar is, no matter how amazing he is, he's maybe one of the least that you get on that link. You get Karato Fox Hunter, you get Uugo, you get Mausoleum Mage and Rector Drath, and all of them supply a lot of the buffs and debuffs that we are going to talk about in this video. So let's get to it. So we'll have a look at my team, and then we're going to talk about all of the things you need to master Clan Boss. We're not going to go into the advanced speed tuning stuff. We're just going to go into the debuffs and the buffs that are going to help you out to last longer in Clan Boss and help you get those 1 keys. Okay, now, so if we look at Clan Boss here, we see we have a key. We're not going to do a run, but you can see that we are up at 25 million there, and that is on brutal. Now, we are about 3 weeks into the game. We're already getting top chest on brutal, and if we look in the right area, we'll actually see how many days we're in. So we're coming up on day 27. We're on day 26 right now, and we're already 2 keying brutal, guys. That is amazing, and with a couple of slight changes, we'll be able to 1 key brutal. So I've held off on 60ing some of these champions because we need to maximize what we're doing. Now, the team itself, as you can see, is Tagoar, Kale, Fane, Sabatha, and Alice. But why? That's the important thing, is why these champions. Okay, so we start off with the big man Tagoar. Tagoar was my first 60. He brings us an increase defense on the A1 for the ally with the lowest HP. That's going to be very beneficial in keeping us alive. This here then attacks all enemies and places a 30% increased speed buff on all allies for 2 turns and heals them by 15% of this champion's HP. So we have a healer, increased speed, an increased defense champion who is also a reviver and places a shield buff on all allies for 20% of his max HP for 2 turns. So we have a couple of layers of survivability there. We have healing, we have reviving, we have shields, we have increased defense. So all of them are going to keep us all alive. He was my first 60, and he has a passive then when allies have 50% HP or less, they take 10% less damage as well. Now, we built him to 60, we got War Master on him, so he's able to do damage, get damage output. You want to have War Master on your champions early on to deal damage to Clan Boss, because that's where all of your damage is going to come from. You don't have the direct damage to be able to do that. Next up, we had Kale. Now, why do we have Kale? Why is Kale chosen often as the best of the starter champions? Simply put, poisons. He has a poison on the A1, he has a potential quadruple poison, and a big poison at that, on the A3. I was about to say 4 because I seen 4 up here, and then he has this hit as well. Now, I have a tendency to turn this off on Clan Boss because we just want the A3 and the A1 going to get poisons on there. Poisons are going to do more damage along with War Master than the A3 is going to do for you. Okay, so we like to fill up that bar and get all the damage flowing with the poisons. turns. So that's why Kale is so good at getting the damage done. But he's not going to inherently make you last longer with Clan Boss. He's just how you're going to get damage over time. Now, for my next champion, which a world-class champion for Clan Boss, we have Fane, the little mousy lady from the Skinwalkers faction, who seems to collect heads as a hobby there, which I've never noticed before. Fane, A1 doesn't do much for us on Clan Boss, but it is extra hits, and when she's 60'd and with War Master, she'll be getting damage from that. We then have attacks one enemy and 100% chance when booked of placing 2 poison debuffs and a decrease attack for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown. So that means that you should be getting your decrease attack and poisons on there constantly and consistently. You do need to have her booked up though to make sure that you get that. Not only that, guys, but then on the A3, she's bringing decreased defense and weaken and a bit of healing for herself. So all of the damage, decreased defense and weaken, and poisons, so all of the stuff that's going to help you damage the Clan Boss more, and then decrease attack, which is one of the most important debuffs that we can have on the Clan Boss, especially in early game when we don't have block damage or unkillable buffs. Decrease attack is huge for us, and that is a big decrease attack at 50%. Okay, so that's why we have Fane on there. Now, looking at our next pick, we have Sabbatha. Dawncaller has a heal on the A1. We have increased defense and increased attack on all allies on the A2. So increased defense, again, AoE gonna help us stay alive. Increased attack, AoE gonna help us deal more damage during that extra time that we are alive. And comes then with a full revive, or a big revive with a full turn meter and a block damage for 2 turns. So if you're manualing, if you think about who we have, the best person to be using that on would be Tagoar in the lead, and then Tagoar can revive everybody else. And she also, whenever she uses a revive, reduces the cooldown of one of her skills as well, so we can get back to buffing up our allies again. So she's mainly there for the extra revive and the increased defense. Now we're on to Alice, and what is Alice doing for us? None of Alice's skills have any particular special meaning or anything like that against the Clan Boss. That is the long and the short of it, guys. But we're early game and she has a 4-star blessing, so that means she has way more stats than everybody else and is my biggest damager. So she has 3.3k attack, 2.3 defense, 43k HP, 100% crit rate, and 165% crit damage. And that's with less than a month in the game. So she's there to provide just direct damage, and she has Brimstone because she's the only legendary on the team and she has a blessing. So Brimstone is going to do far more damage than anybody else can output. Does like 250,000 damage, I think, per strike. So that's why she's on there, not for anything she does specifically. Now, what would I change here, or what's the recipe that I spoke of earlier on? So you need to last longer to go the distance. You've heard that before, right? What you need to do is strengthen, okay? Not on about pumping weights, building muscles. We are talking about strengthen, the buff. Who has that I can use? Well, today we got Morag Bronzelock. Everybody that started the free-to-play series would have gotten the chance to get Morag today, okay? So Morag brings strengthen on her A2, places a 25% strengthen buff on all allies for 2 turns. What does strengthen do, guys? Strengthen is a straight up damage mitigation. People think it increases your defense or increases this, that, or the other. Basically, it doesn't. Like, really reduces the value of the received damage by 15 or 25%. So 15 for this little one, and then 25 for this full one when we have both parts in there. So that's it. Like, straight up, you take 25%, a quarter less damage. So couple that with Tagoar's passive, and we're taking 35% less damage. So that's really good. We like like to see that. Couple that then with decreased attack, you're taking a lot more or less damage, right? So that's one thing. Strengthen on your champions. See who has that. See where you can get it. There are rares, there are epics, there are legendaries that can do it. You want somebody that has it on a low turn. Like I have Burengiri here, who could provide it. Strengthen on all allies for 2 turns. Also places a shield. The shield buff is equal to 15 of the target's max HP. It's on a 6-turn cooldown. If I book him, it'll still only be on a 4-turn cooldown, which just isn't enough for me, guys. I can't really choose to go with him, even though he is quite a good champion and I'll use him for something else. I can't go with him. I want it on Morag on a 3-turn cooldown. It's going to really help me stay alive. It has to be more consistent. So that's Strengthen we spoke of, and a couple of options that I have there, but you have to look at your champions. I will do another video talking about champions of every level that have Strengthen or different debuffs for the clan boss, but this we're just talking about the what, we're not talking about the who. Okay, we have then moved on from Strengthen and we're looking at ally protection, not ally protection, and that's a different thing altogether. So places 50% ally protection buff and a 15% continuous heal buff on all allies except this champion for 2 turns. This is going to be huge, and if I could land the books, if I could pick where my books are going to land, she would already be on my clan boss team. Rearguard Sergeant is incredibly good, but she takes a whole load of books here and more here, so that's the roll of the dice. This is also on, you want to get it on a 3-turn cooldown, but ally protection, let's see what that does, guys. If we want to stay around longer to deal more damage to the clan boss, you have to remember dealing most of your damage from passive effects like poison and brimstone. So the caster champion takes 25 or 50% of direct damage inflicted upon the target champion. Self-inflicted damage, HP burn or poison does not trigger this effect. Each champion uses their own defense value for mitigating damage. Okay, so that means that if you have the likes of Rearguard Sergeant there, who is a defense champion, and you have her built up properly with all her gear on and all the rest, and mine isn't equipped, guys, so you can see there's nothing here under artifacts. I'm still building her up. If you build her much more tanky, which you're going to be, than your attack champions, your Kale and your Alice and all the rest of it, she's going to be able to absorb way more of the damage than they are. So she'll take some of their damage, apply it to herself, but it becomes much more reduced. Now, I won't get into the maths of it, but basically the crit damage and the defense applied from this champion doesn't count anymore, and you get a much reduced damage effect, and she's able to take more of it. Okay, there's a whole load of maths that go into it behind the scene if you want to optimize it, but just to make you aware, you want to get ally protection on. You want to get, especially with your decreased attack and your Strengthen and any other survival passives, this is really going to help you stay alive even longer. Okay, so buffs so far to help you stay alive, we've talked about Strengthen, decreased defense, ally protection, increased defense, I misspoke. Those 3 are the big 3 to help you stay alive, but there is one more. Before we get into the big two that are no-brainers, guys, are Veil and Perfect Veil. Now, I don't have anybody, I don't think, with Veil or Perfect Veil, but we can still look at somebody that has it and see what they do on the index. So if we go over here to Demon Spawn and we look at Duchess, we can see that she has a Veil here, places a Perfect Veil on all allies except this champion for 2 turns. Now, you cannot get, to my knowledge, any champion that has Veil on a 3-turn cooldown. Okay, so if we go down and look at Veil, you're thinking like Veil just stops people targeting your champions. It's not any damage reduction, right? Wrong. Okay, so Veil, there are 2 versions, Veil and Perfect Veil, right? Champion under any of them buffs cannot be attacked by an attacker unless everybody has Veil on it. However, Veil and Perfect Veil buffs decrease incoming damage from area of effect skills. Okay, so the clan boss has 1 single target hit, which means he wouldn't be able to attack the person under Veil, but he also has 2 AoE attacks and Veil and Perfect Veil decrease that damage by 7.5 or 15% respectively. Again, we're thinking increased defense, we're thinking ally protection, that's mitigating some of that damage, and we're thinking strengthen. If we have a Veil as well, we're looking at 40% AoE damage reduction that we're not taking. Then we're also applying decreased attack to the clan boss, so that means he's dealing less damage anyway, and we're getting a percentage of that taken away there. So that's why we're surviving longer and able to do much more damage. Now, to keep all of these up all of the time, you want to try and get in somebody who maybe extends buffs. All right, that's why people are, say, Sandlash Survivor or Hellborn Sprite or people like that are so good. So I mentioned Sandlash Survivor, and guys, I this is the first time I've ever clicked into the right place for Sandlash Survivor. I honestly, now you look at this, does she look orc or does she look barbarian? I always think she's an orc. When I think sand-lashed, I think out in the desert with the barbarians, lashed by the sand. She's an orc. You can see it in the teeth there. She has a little tooth sticking up. She's a cool looking champion actually, but she brings a buff extension. So basically all of the other champions have put their strengthen on, their increased defense, their ally protection and all that. Then she comes along and uses her A2 and makes all of them last an extra turn. Okay, so now you have full coverage, because by the time it comes back round to them wearing off, the guy's skills have refreshed and they're able to reapply them again, and when they reapply them, Sandlash Survivor goes after them and extends those buffs again, giving you full coverage for the entire team for the entire fight. Now, why is Sandlash Survivor such a strong candidate for this position? She's a really strong candidate for it. There's another way better one, but it's a bit much to ask for. So Sandlashed places a 50% ally protection. So there we are with ally protection again on all allies for 2 turns when any ally's HP drops below 50%. So it's an automatic one that goes on. Also places a block damage buff on her for 1 turn. So somebody's about to get killed, their HP drops below 50%, she goes boom, throws out the ally protection, stops them getting damaged, damage comes for her, ping, bounces off the block damage debuff, and everything's a-okay. She applies that to herself, she has it on a 4-turn cooldown, and if that comes out and lands there, she can then use her A2, extend that, and it's on everybody for the rest of the fight. For the A1, it's not going to do anything exciting for clan boss, but we get War Master on there and she's dealing us some damage. Now, the other champion I spoke of, by the way, just in case anybody didn't know who it is, it's way better, and it is Krisk from the Lizard Men, because Krisk gives ally protection and increases the duration of all ally buffs by 1 turn on the same move. That's one of the reasons Krisk is so good. Like, if I had him on my free to play, guys, I'd be a very happy man. So that is all of the buffs covered that are going to keep you alive. We have the 2 big ones, obviously. We have block damage and we have unkillable, guys. So our unkillable, we have the likes of Sir Nicholas here, and he places unkillable and continuous heal on all allies for 2 turns. They're generally all on a 4-turn cooldown. Now, with the addition of, what's her name, his wife, Noelle, you're able to get that covered more of the time. Noelle is shy, she didn't want to come out to play there. So yeah, you can get the uptime on that more with Noelle's thing, but we'll go into advanced tactics and stuff like that at a later time. The other thing that we like to think about when we are talking about surviving and lasting longer in clan boss, we gotta talk about block damage. So unkillable, you still take damage. Block damage, you take none at all. And the best, probably still the best candidate for this has to be Helicat, because Helicat will give you block damage on all allies for 2 turns on a 4-turn cooldown when booked, and whenever a block damage buff placed on an ally by this champion is removed, stolen, or expires, he then replaces it with an increased defense, and a big increased defense at that. And then he also has a big shield that he places on them on the A2. So Helicat is about the best in the game for block damage compositions. So guys, that is the clan boss recipe. Those are the buffs that will keep you alive for clan boss. The debuffs that you want are obviously the damaging ones in HP burn and poison, stuff like that, brimstone as well. And then we also have decrease attack. That's the one that's going to stop you receiving damage, and that's how you're going to last longer in clan boss, guys. So comment down below and let me know if you would like to see videos going through some of the rare and epic champions that you can use to proceed further in clan boss. I'll give you a free taster now of one particularly good one for clan boss, a rare champion that I just got recently, Coffin Smasher. Looks absolutely terrible when you check it out at first, but actually when you think about the application for clan boss, he's incredibly good. So decreases damage enemies inflict with AoE attacks by 5% and attacks one enemy 3 times on the A1. Each hit has a 15% chance of placing a 50% decrease attack debuff for 2 turns on an A1. It's a big decrease attack, and that books up to a 30%. But it's a triple hitter, guys. So if he's just using his A1 and then coming in with the HP burn every once in a while, he's going to give you a lot of coverage with a big decrease attack, guys. So he is a sneaky pick of a rare champion to use for clan boss, guys. And stay tuned, and maybe I'll make a video for more. Let me know what you'd like to see in the comments below. And while you're down there, like and subscribe. Click that link that my partners at GameLeap has supplied for us. It's a fantastic link. Like I said earlier on, you get Karato, you get the 4 free epics. It is the best link that I have seen for starting the game. Try it out. Let me know what you think, guys, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.